A heavy coin resting in a winter coat, a copper face acting like a silent note. We found a new carrying a rigid line. It held a face stamped into a metal round. But passing days polished up the rigid breast. But passing days polished up the rigid breast. The fingers rub wearing down the metal face. A quiet filling up an empty space. The edge is smooth, losing all the sudden bite. A glowing disc shining in the fading light. I hold it close, feeling how the metal warms. A safe anchor weathering the quiet storms. The friction dies, turn into a gentle slide. A woven piece, living on the dark inside. The copper wears, finding a familiar grace. I hold you close, knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. Yeah. You shaped yourself, fitting to the fears I hold. A warm embrace, better than the tales are told. Burnished coin, resting in a given palm. I hold you close, knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. Yourself fit into the fears I hold. A warm embrace, better than the tales are told. We used to ache, pushing on a rigid wall. A stubborn line, waiting for a heavy fall. But steady touch polished up the copper shell. A quiet shift breaking up the isolation spell. The comfort flows, traveling a private line. I close my eyes, feeling how the edges bend. The trusted guard, staying with me to the end. Rub the solid brass, let the rhythm play high. From all the rush, keep the cold away. The outer stone softens into something mild. A peaceful state, letting us be reconciled. I realize that comfort is an earned art, a slow design, working on a guarded heart. Love requires polish in a rugged face to find the warmth hiding in a quiet place. We let the shape alter to a gentle fit and found the peace hidden in the core of it. I need the touch flowing through the softened ring, a custom frequency making the silence sing. Burnished coin, resting in a given palm. Keeping, I hold you close, knowing that the edge is gone. Ooh. A warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. You shaped yourself, fitting to the fears I hold. A warm embrace, better than the tales are told. The praxis smooth, the fear is gone. I am here.
Heavy clay sitting on a wooden board, a rugged cup acting as a quiet lord. We brought it home, carrying a dusty shell, a rigid form holding to a firing spell. A scratch, the hand hiding an uneven side, a stubborn shape offering nowhere to hide. But morning heat softened up the outer glaze, a steady hold, walking through a gentle haze. The fingers pressed, rubbing on the broken line, a quiet vow changing up a rough design. The surface shines, wearing down the dusty sand, a perfect fit, waiting for a given hand. I lift the cup, feeling how the ceramic warms, a quiet shield weathering the waking storms. The friction stops, leaving a reflective glow, a trusted guide showing where the waters flow. The clay adapts, taking on a human heat, a steady grind moving to a mellow beat. left the harsh scraping in the early past, a fragrant bond built to make the comfort last. Smooth clay mug sitting on a steady base, a quiet chill taking up a given space. I pull you close, knowing that the edge is gone, a warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. We left the harsh scraping in the early past, a fragrant bond built to make the comfort last. Finding where the pieces lock, a stubborn gem hidden on a solid rock. The steady hands polished up the rigid grain, a quiet vow washing out the early pain. The vessel shines, holding to a sweet perfume, a steady rhythm sitting in a quiet room. I turn it slow, feeling how the pieces mesh, a woven bond resting on the living flesh. Feel the timber slide, smell the quiet trace, step the quiet trace. Step into your face, step into the warm, just the weary phase. The harsh resistance melted into something mild, a peaceful state, letting us be reconciled. I realized that friction was a passing phase, a simple test hiding in the early days. Love requires soften in the rugged grain to find a scent hiding in the falling rain. We let the years wear away the rigid shell and found a place where the quiet angels dwell. I hold the cup knowing it will never stick, a tailored bond matching up without a trick. Smooth clay mug sitting on a steady base, let it slide, taking up a given space. Press it down, knowing that the edge is gone, a warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. We left the harsh scraping in the early past, a fragrant bond built to make the comfort last. The cup is smooth, the timber warms, we are safe.
White dust.
White. White dust.
A white dust sitting on a slate of black. 8 trays and tool plotting out a heavy track. We pushed it hard, drawing out a forward line. It left a mark, sketching out a future goal. A fragile piece taking on a heavy toll. But heavy hands added an excessive weight, a tragic move closing up a given gate. The center break splitting in a jagged crack, a broken tool falling on the riding track. The line stops leaving like a missing bird. I try to write holding an uneven piece, a futile act begging for a quick release. The chalk divide slipping from a heavy hold, a dusty mess matching with the winter cold. The chalk divides drop into the wooden floor, a silent end closing up an iron door. Snap, chalk, felling on the writing slate, a tragic end, opening a silent gate. I watch the dust scattering across the wind, a physical reflection of the lies we sin. You cannot draw meaning with the broken core. I stare at the disaster on the wooden floor. Snap, chalk, felling on the writing slate, a tragic end, opening a silent gate. I watch the dust scattering across the wind, a physical reflection of the lies we send. You cannot draw meaning with the broken core. I stare at the disaster on the wooden floor. We acted like drawing was a simple task, a lasting line hiding in a wooden mask. But massive strain separates a brittle grain, a sudden break bringing in a silent pain. The chalk is split, letting all the magic flee, a useless stick floating on a silent sea. I try to sketch, asking for an echoing tone, a miserable failure sitting in the dark alone. Touch the jagged tear, hear the hollow sound, fail to find the warmth, fail to find the ground. The fracture is a poison to an empty room, a tragic end leading to a quiet doom. I realize that drawing on a broken wood is asking for a magic that that we never could. Love requires holding to an airtight seal to magnify the volume of the things we feel. We pressed the chalk freezing in a bitter draft and ruined all the drawing in a careless craft. I drop my cold fingers and I step away, accepting the disaster of a broken play. Snap, chalk, failing on the writing slate. Let it snap, tragic in walk away, scattering across the wind, a physical reflection of the lies we sin. You cannot draw meaning with a broken core. I leave the white falling on the wooden floor. The line is snap, 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 snap. The line is snap, the line is snap, snap, the line is snap. The line is snap. The dust is cold, I am done.
Black ink, a black ink, a black ink sitting on a narrow spool, a winding thread acting as a writing tool. We struck the keys, tapping on a share page, yeah. Moved along, passing through the silver guide. A reckless speed knotted up the feeding gear, a twisted mess bringing down a silent fear. The ribbon snacks catching on an iron hook, a dark stain bleeding on a closing book. The keys strike falling on a single spot, a ruined text tangled in a bitter knot. I press a word, hoping for a moving line, a failed attempt, reckoning unsure design. The metal jams, freezing in a solid block, a broken string ticking on a silent clock. The ribbon jams, tying up a heavy knot, a dark stain bleeding on a single spot. Tangled ribbon catching on the metal gear, a tragic stop, raising up a silent fear. I strike the key, looking at a heavy stain, a physical reflection of a lasting pain. You cannot type letters when the spool is tied. I stare at the disaster where the words have died. Tangled ribbon catching on the metal gear, a tragic stop, raising up a silent fear. I strike the key, looking at a heavy stain, a physical reflection of a lasting pain. You cannot type letters when the spool is tied. I stare at the disaster where the words have died. We acted like writing was a given right, a steady stream pushing through the lonely night, but tangled threads paralyze an empty page, a tragic act halting on a hollow stage. The text stopped drowning in an ocean spill, a ruined word hiding what we truly feel. I try to pull, hoping for a working space, a bitter end hiding in the quiet place. Touch the black and not hit the metal hit, failed to move the line, watch the logic with the tangle. It's a poison to a moving text, a silent ghost cursing what is coming next. I realize that pushing on the tangled thread is wasting all the logic of the words we said. Love requires movement that is smooth and light to navigate the turning of a heavy night. We jam the spool, breaking an essential tie. I'm ruined all the function of a shared sky. I lift my cold fingers and I slip away, accepting the disaster of a broken play. Tangled ribbon catching on the metal gear, let it jam. Tragic stop, raising up a silent fear. Walk away, key looking at a heavy stain, a physical reflection of a lasting pain. You cannot type letters when the spool is tied. I leave the dark silence where the words have died. The thread is caught, the page is stained. I am done.
Yeah. 위로하는. Yeah. A rigid high sitting on a metal frame, a stubborn seat hiding in a waiting game. We took a ride pushing on a heavy street, a bitter cold chilling up the winter beat. It fought the shape offering a solid wall, a harsh defense waiting for a heavy fall. Yeah. But passing miles softened up the rigid grain. A steady ride washing out the early pain. The leather bends taking on a human heat. A curve moving to a steady beat. The friction dies leaving just a quiet hole. A warm embrace better than a storage tote. I take a seat feeling how the material gives. A quiet space where the gentle comfort lives. The journey flows riding on a tailor mode. A trusted guide keeping out the winter cold. The leather adapts finding a familiar grade. So deep by taking up a quiet space. One leather saddle resting on a moving wheel. A tailor fit holding all the things I feel. I settle down knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. You shape yourself, fit into the road we take. A safe anchor floating on a quiet lake. Worn leather saddle resting on a moving wheel. A tailor fit holding all the things I feel. I settle down knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. You shape yourself, fit into the road we take. A safe anchor floating on a quiet lake. Yeah, we used to hate pushing on a rigid line. A stubborn form acting as a co-design. But steady weight polished up the heavy skin. A quiet shift letting all the comfort in. The miles flow traveling a private lane. A steady pulse washing out the early pain. I close my eyes feeling how the edges bend. A trusted guard staying with me to the end. Ride the quiet street, let the rhythm play. Hide from all the rush, keep the cold away. The outer hide softens into something mild. A peaceful state letting us be reconciled. I realize that comfort is an earned art. A slow design working on a guarded heart. Love requires shifting to a given mold. The final warmth hiding in the dark and cold. We let the shape alter to a perfect fit. And found the peace hidden in the core of it. I need the touch flowing through the softened ring. A custom frequency making the silence sing. Worn leather saddle, keep it resting on a moving wheel. A tailor fit holding all the things I feel. Like I settle down knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. You shape yourself, fit into the road we take. A safe anchor floating on a quiet lake. The hate is smooth, the pain is gone. I am here. Hey.
Wooden block bolted to a singing wood. A quiet guard doing what the timber could. We placed a cheek resting on a rigid line. It pressed the skin asking for a steady hold. A stubborn shape sitting in the winter cold. But passing songs softened up the wooden grain. A steady touch washing out the early pain. The surface shines taking on a darker hue. A quiet shift making an intention true. The friction dies leaving just a tailored curve. A safe embrace calming down a nervous nerve. I rest my head feeling how the timber warms. A quiet shield weathering the waking storms. The music flows riding on a gentle bass. A trusted guide showing me a quiet place. The wood adapts taking on a human heat. Smooth Chinrest sitting on a steady frame. I lay my head knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. We left the harsh scraping in the early past. A fragrant bond built to make the comfort last. Chinrest sitting on a steady frame. I lay my head knowing that the edge is gone. Warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. We left the harsh scraping in the early past. A fragrant bond built to make the comfort last. We used to fight, finding where the pieces lock. A stubborn jam hitting on a solid rock, but steady play polished up the rigid shell. A quiet vow breaking up an empty spell. The timber shines, holding to a sweet perfume. I close my eyes, feeling how the pieces mesh. A woven bond, resting on the living flesh. Feel the timber slide, hear the quiet trace. Step into the warm, rest the weary face. The harsh resistance melted into something mild. A peaceful state, letting us be reconciled. I realized that fiction was a passing phase. Simple test hiding in the early days. Love requires softening the rugged grain. To find the song hiding in the falling rain. We let the years wear away the rigid shell, and found a place where the quiet angels dwell. I hold the pose, knowing it will never stick. A tailored bond, matching up without a truth. Chinrest, sitting on a steady frame. Let it slide, a quiet shield, playing in a waiting game. Press it down, I lay my head, knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface, waiting for a quiet dawn. We left the heart scraping in the early past. A fragrant bond, built to make the comfort last. The wood is smooth, the timber warms. We are safe.
Waiting in a quiet hall, a silver gate answering a daily call. We push the coin open for a quick return. A heavy move making all the engines burn. It took the peace swallowing the silver round. A steady drop making a familiar sound, but reckless force pushed a bent and broken dime. A tragic move ruining the ticking time. The metal jams wedging in the narrow track. The solid block launching a severe attack. The gears hard grinding to a sudden freeze. A dying wind blowing through the winter trees. I try to push, asking for a moving line. I failed attempt, wrecked in an unsure design. The entrance chokes freezing in the solid block. A broken door ticking on a silent clock. The metal jams tying up a heavy knot. A cold rejection bleeding on a single spot. Jam coin slot, catching on a broken gear. A tragic stop, raising up a silent fear. I strike the frame, looking at a heavy block. A physical reflection of a broken lock. You cannot start magic when the gate is tied. I stare at the disaster where the hope is died. Jam coin slot, catching on a broken gear. A tragic stop, raising up a silent fear. I strike the frame, looking at a heavy block. The physical reflection of a broken lock. You cannot start magic when the gate is tied. I stare at the disaster where the hope is died. We acted like forcing was a given right. A steady stream pushing through the lonely night. But bad intentions paralyze a working day. The tragic act halting at a bitter fate. The drop is stop drowning in a rigid chill. A ruined slide hiding what we truly feel. I try to pull hope in for a working space. A bitter end hiding in a quiet place. Touch the blackened knot, hear the metal hit. Fail to move the line, watch the logic quit. The tangle is a poison to a moving text. The silent ghost cursing what is coming next. I realize that pushing on a broken frame is wasting all the logic of a waking game. Love requires dropping with a smooth release to navigate the turning of a sudden peace. We jam the gate breaking an essential tie and ruin all the function of a shared sky. I lift my cold fingers and I step away, accepting the disaster of a broken play. Jam coin slot, catching on a broken gear. Let it jam, tragic stop, raising up a silent fear. Walk away, I strike the frame, looking at a heavy block. A physical reflection of a broken lock. You cannot start magic when the gate is tied. I leave the dark silence where the hope is died. The gate is closed.
Silver wire holding on a metal rim. We rode the street, keeping to a steady lane. Bore the way, sharing in a silent ring. A quiet pool making all the metals sing. But reckless speed hit upon a hidden stone. A sudden crash echoing in flesh and bone. The silver bends arching from a heavy blow. A tragic twist ruining the steady flow. The rim warps throwing off the center line. A broken wheel wrecking a secure design. I try to ride, pushing on a shaking frame. A failed attempt playing in the losing game. The journey stops, shivering in every turn. A dying ash, leaving nothing left to burn. The metal bends, throwing off an even ride. A broken ring opening a vast divide. Bent wheels spoke, shivering across the ground. A tragic twist, breaking up a steady sound. I watch the rim wobbling in a heavy sway. You cannot move forward when the line is bent. I stare at the disaster of the time we spent. Spoke, shivering across the ground. A tragic twist, breaking up a steady sound. I watch the rim wobbling in a heavy sway. You cannot move forward when the line is bent. I stare at the disaster of the time we spent. We acted like balance was an endless gift, a lasting force hiding in a quiet shift. But sudden shocks compromise an entire base. A sudden fall sitting in a quiet place. The lines divide, slipping from a tension hold. A broken tool shivering in winter cold. I try to steer, hoping for a steady ring. A bitter end written on a lifeless string. Touch the broken wire, hear the metal slide. Fail to find the grip, fail to find a guide. The tension left leaving an empty space. A tragic void sitting in a quiet place. I realize that resting on a fragile thread is wasting all the logic of the words we said. Love requires holding to a balanced tie to elevate the nature of a shared sky. We snapped the line, pushing past the limit sign, and ruined all the function of a shared design. I drop my cold fingers and I step away, accepting the disaster of a broken play. Wheels spoke, shivering across steady fall. Tragic twist, breaking up a steady sound. Walk away, I watch the rim wobbling in a heavy sway. You cannot move forward when the line is bent. I leave the slack hanging on the broken tape. The wire's bent, the rim is dead, I am done.
A wooden rail sitting on a velvet chair, a rigid block resting in the quiet air. We brought it on, carrying a dusty scent. It caught the skin, holding to a stubborn grain. A rough defense hiding a familiar pain. But passing years polished up the rough design. A steady hand resting on a given line. The timber yields taking on a human heat. The friction dies, leaving just a quiet hold. A warm embrace better than the stories told. I lay my arm, feeling how the timber warms. A quiet shield weathering the waking storms. Oh, the resting place turns into a gentle slide. The timber wears finding a familiar grace. A steady rub, taking up a quiet space. Smooth, smooth wooden armrest, waiting in an open room. A tailored fit, clearing out the heavy gloom. I lay my weight, knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. You shaped yourself, fit into the rest. I need a safe anchor following a gentle lead. Smooth wooden armrest, waiting in an open room. Tailored fit, clearing into the rest. I need a safe anchor following her gently. We used to ache pushing on a rigid wall, stubborn line waiting for a heavy fall, but steady touch polished through the wooden shell. The quiet shift breaking up the isolation spell. The cover flows traveling a private line. Now I close my eyes feeling how the edges bend. A trusted guard staying with me to the end. Rub the solid wood, let the rhythm play hard. Hide from all the rush, keep the cold away. The outer grain softens into something mild, a peaceful state, letting us be reconciled. I realize that comfort isn't earned art, a slow design working on a guarded heart. Love requires polish in a rugged face. To find the warmth hiding in the quiet place, we let the shape alter to a gentle fit, and found the peace hidden in the core of it. I need the touch flowing through the softened ring, a custom frequency making the silence sing. Smooth wooden armrest, waiting in an open room. Keep it near, clearing out the head. I lay my weight, knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface, waiting for a quiet dawn. Oh, you shaped yourself, fit into the rest. I need a safe anchor following her gently. The wood is smooth, the fear is gone. I am here.
A wooden stick resting in a painted hand, a simple tool gathered from a quiet land. We dipped the tip looking for a colored hue, a rigid line making the beginning true. It felt unsure, slipping in a nervous hold, a stiff design sitting in the studio cold. But passing days molded up the outer glaze, a steady hold walking through a gentle haze. The fingers pressed, rubbing on the broken line, a quiet vow changing up a rough design. The surface yields taking on a human shape, perfect fit offering a safe escape. I lift the brush, feeling how the timber warms, a quiet shield weathering the waking storms. The friction stops, leaving a reflective glow, a trusted guide showing where the colors flow. The wood adapts, taking on a human heat, a steady grind moving to a mellow beat. I pull you close, knowing that the edge is gone, a warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. We left the harsh scraping in the early past, a fragrant bond built to make the comfort last. Soften on a human heat, a steady grind moving to a melody. I pull you close, knowing that the edge is gone, a warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. We left the harsh scraping in the early past, a fragrant bond built to make the comfort last. We used to fight, finding where the pieces lock, aced up and jam, hitting on a solid rock. But steady hands polished up the rigid grain, a quiet vow washing out the early pain. The vessel shines, holding to a sweet perfume, a steady rhythm sitting in a quiet room. I about feeling how the pieces mesh. A woven bond resting on the living flesh. Feel the timber slide, smell the quiet trace. Step into the warm, rest the weary face. The harsh resistance melted into something mild. A peaceful state, letting us be reconciled. I realized that friction was a passing phase. A simple test hiding in the early days. But love requires softening the rugged grain. To find the sand hiding in the falling rain. We let the gears wear away the rigid shell. And found a place where the quiet angels glow. I hold the brush knowing it will never stick. A tailored bond matching up without a trick. Let it slide, soften brush handle, sitting in a steady slide. Quiet shield keeping out the winter cold. Press it down, pull you close, knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. Left the harsh scraping in the early past. A fragrant bond built to make the comfort last. The grip is smooth, the timber warms. We are safe.
A circle glass sitting on a silver ring. A quiet eye watching how the shadows swing. We aimed the frame looking for a lasting sight. It held the world drawing in a sharp detail. But careless drops wandered through an open seam. A silent ghost ruining a waking dream. The moisture creeps, blurring up the inner space. A hazy cloud hiding in a secret place. The clear design fades into a milky white. A broken eye blinded in the middle of the night. I try to wipe, rubbing on the outer shell. A useless task, fighting a familiar spell. The water rests, trapped inside the sealed glass. A fading shape, watching all the moments pass. The vapor locks, clinging to a hidden core. A silent blur, closing up an iron door. Fog glass lens, failing on the silver frame. I look inside, seeing just a hazy ghost. A physical reflection of the things we lost. You cannot find focus when the eye is blind. I stare at the disaster we have left behind. Glass lens, failing on the silver frame. I look inside, seeing just a hazy ghost. A physical reflection of the things we lost. You cannot find focus when the eye is blind. I stare at the disaster we have left behind. We acted like vision was a constant given. A steady light keeping all the shadows hidden. But inner tears compromise a quiet seal. A foggy mist ruining the things we feel. The glass is stained, hiding in unspoken pain. A useless tool waiting in the bitter rain. I try to look, asking for a sharper line. A miserable failure of a lost design. Touch the cloudy glass, hit the shutter slide. Fail to find the mark, fail to find a guide. The moisture is a poison to a seeing eye. A tragic mist hiding in a heavy sky. I realize that blurring up an inner space is hiding all the feelings features of a lover face. Love requires vision that is pure and clear. To navigate the turning of a passing year, we let the dam seep into it and crack, and ruined all the pictures we can never get back. I drop my cold fingers and I step away, accepting the disaster of a broken play. Failing on the silver frame, let it fade inside, seeing just the hazy ghost, a physical reflection of the things we lost. You cannot find focus when the eye is blind. I leave the white paper and the ties that bind. The lens is blind, the sight is gone. I am done.
A wooden plank sitting on a level ground, a smooth terrain, making not a single sound. We walk the room gliding in a quiet pace. A flat design acting as a resting place. It bore the weight, carrying a heavy tread. But hidden damp gathered in the dark below, a silent pool causing all the grain to grow. The moisture swells bending up the ridge of wood, a tragic shift ruining the neighborhood. The surface breaks, rising in a jagged arch, a broken path halting an expected march. I try to walk, stumbling on the sudden rise, a failed attempt falling under heavy skies. The level fails like in a secure design, a hollow space opening a jagged line. The timber bends, leaving an uneven plane, a silent room waiting for a steady lane. I try to step tripping on the broken wood, a physical reflection of the ground is bent. I stare at the disaster of the time we spent. I try to step tripping on the broken wood, a physical reflection of the ground is bent. I stare at the disaster of the time we spent. We acted like walking was a simple task, a lasting floor hiding in a wooden mask. But massive strain paralyzes every step, a sudden break canceling my promise cap. The wood is warped, sitting in an awkward frame. My useless board playing in a losing game. I try to tread, asking for a level floor, a miserable failure of a closing door. Touch the broken wood, hear the timber slide. Fail to find the flat, fail to find a guide. Realize they're walking on a bending plank, is brewing in the quiet of an empty bank. Love requires balance that is smooth and flat, to navigate the turning of a habitat. We let the damp ruin the essential tie, and ruin all the function of a shared sky. I lift my cold fingers and I step away, sipping the disaster of a broken play. Board, floorboard, rising from the steady base. Let it rise. I try to stop tripping on the broken wood, a physical reflection of the ground is bent. You cannot walk safely, and the ground is bent. I leave the cold timber and the time we spent. The board is bent, the path is gone. I am done.
A metal cap sitting on a camera top, A quiet circle asking for a sudden stop. We bought it black, feeling rather stiff and cold. A heavy action waiting for a story told. It fought the finger pushing down the narrow spring. A rigid focus making all the metal ring. But passing days wore away the painted shell. A steady touch breaking up the rigid spell. The golden brass rises from the dark design. A perfect fit matching to a human line. The click is soft acting as a gentle guide. A quiet door open in the dark inside. I press it down capturing a moving face. A trusted tool working in a quiet space. The metal warmth taking on a human heat. A steady pulse moving to a mellow beat. The button smooths finding a familiar grace. A steady press taking up a quiet space. A polished shutter button resting on the silver frame. A quiet guy playing in a waiting game. I press you down knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface capturing a quiet dawn. You shape yourself, fit into the touch I hold. A warm embrace, better than the tales are told. Polished shutter button resting on the silver frame. A quiet guy playing in a waiting game. I press you down knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface capturing a quiet dawn. You shape yourself, fit into the touch I hold. A warm embrace, better than the tales are told. We used to ache pushing on a rigid gear. A stubborn line waking up a quiet fear. But steady work polished up the golden brass. A quiet shift walking through the meadow grass. The focus flows traveling a private line. A steady pulse mirroring a grand design. I close my eyes feeling how the edges bend. A trusted guard staying with me to the end. Press the solid brass, hear the quiet click. Keep the image safe, make the memory stick. The harsh resistance melted into something mild. A peaceful state letting us be reconciled. I realize the comfort is a gradual art. A slow design work working on a guarded heart. Love requires polishing a rigid face to keep the warmth hiding in a quiet place. We let the shape alter to a perfect fit and found the peace hidden in the core of it. I need the touch flowing through the softened ring. A custom frequency making the silence sing. Polished shutter button resting on the sill. Keep it near, a quiet guy playing in a weight. Locked in the press you down knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface capturing a quiet dawn. You shape yourself, fit into the touch I hold. A warm embrace, better than the tales are told. The brass is warm, the side is clear. I am here.
A flat circle sitting on a wooden desk. A rigid map putting balance to a test. We placed the cup looking for a sudden rest. A flat design passing an expected test. It held the base acting as a stubborn floor. A simple block waiting by a closing door. But morning heat melted down the wooden grain. A steady weight washing out the early pain. The center sink's taking on a circular shape. A perfect hold offering a safe escape. If it's the mug matching up the heavy base. A custom grip working in the quiet space. I set it down, feeling how the cork absorbs. A steady anchor weathering the quiet storms. The sliding stops finding a familiar groove. A woven bond making sure we never move. The cork adapts, taking on a human heat. A steady grind moving to a mellow beat. Indented cork sitting on a steady board. A quiet shield holding what the day restored. I place the cup knowing that the slide is gone. A warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. We left the flat surface in the early past. A custom bond built to make the comfort last. Indented cork sitting on a steady board. A quiet shield custom bond built to make the comfort last. We used to watch Finding Weather Balance late. A stubborn slip brewing in a breaking day, but steady heat polished up the rigid grain. A quiet vow washing out the early pain. The center dips holding to a sweet perfume. I set it down feeling how the pieces mesh. A woven bond resting on the living flesh. Feel the timber give, smell the quiet trace. Step into the warm rest, the weary face. The flat resistance melted into something mild. A peaceful state, letting us be reconciled. I realized the sinking was a needed phase. A simple test hiding in the early days. Love requires softening the rugged grain to find the groove hiding in the falling rain. We let the years wear away the rigid shell and found a place where the quiet angels dwell. I hold the cup knowing it will never tip. A tailored bond making sure we never slip. Indented Cork sitting on a steady board. Let it rest, a quiet shield holding what the day restored. Press it down, I place the cup knowing that the slide is gone. A warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. We left the flat surface in the early past. A custom bond built to make the comfort last. The base is set, the wood is warm. We are safe.
Red drop falling on a paper fold. A heated mark keeping out the bitter cold. We pressed the stamp, locking up a secret word. It held the flap, hiding all the things we wrote. A quiet shield resting on a floating boat. But when the air dried away the binding oil, a brittle crust failing in the daily toil. The surface cracks breaking in the spider web. A tragic flaw moving to an endless ebb. The pieces fall, dropping to the wooden floor. A broken lock opening a private door. I try to press, hoping for a melting heat. A failed attempt falling in a quiet street. The fragments slip, losing all the heavy trace. A ruined bond sitting in an empty place. The wax device dropping to the wooden floor. A silent end closing up an iron door. Crumbled wax seal falling on the paper fold. I watch the dust scattering across the wind. A physical reflection of the lies we sin. You cannot buy meaning with a broken core. I stare at the disaster on the wooden floor. Crumbled wax seal falling on the paper fold. I watch the dust scattering across the wind. A physical reflection of the lies we sin. You cannot buy meaning with a broken core. I stare at the disaster on the wooden floor. We acted like melting was the lasting state. A steady lock resting by a heavy gate. But dry neglect separates a brittle grain. A sudden break bringing in a silent pain. The seal is split, letting all the secrets flee. A useless crust floating on a silent sea. I try to hold, asking for an echoing tone. A miserable failure sitting in the dark alone. Touch the jagged tear, hear the hollow sound. Fail to find the warmth, fail to find the ground. The fracture is a poison to an empty room. A tragic end leading to a quiet doom. I realize that binding on a broken wood is asking for a magic that we never could. Love requires holding to an airtight seal to magnify the volume of the things we feel. We let the wax freeze into a bitter draft and ruined all the closing in a careless craft. I dry my cold fingers and I step away, accepting the disaster of a broken play. Wax seal, filling on the paper fold. Let it break, the dust is cold, I am
spring resting in a plastic case, a hidden wire sitting in a quiet place. We placed a cell pushing for a sudden spark. Get past the vote, waking up a quiet song. But past the vote, waking up a quiet song. But passing time gathered up a blue decay, a tragic rust stealing all the light away. The metal crust building up a toxic wall, a silent block bringing in a heavy fall. The power stops filling at the broken gate, a dead machine yielding to a bit of fate. I push the cell asking for a waking sound, the failed attempt sitting on the solid ground. The connection dies, losing all the moving fire, a ruined bridge acting as a severed wire. The metal rust tying up a heavy knot, a cold rejection bleeding on a single spot. Oxidized terminal, catching on a broken gear. A tragic stop, raising up a silent fear. I strike the frame, looking at a heavy block, a physical reflection of a broken lock. You cannot start music when the gate is tied. I stare at the disaster where the hope has died. Oxidized terminal, catching on a broken gear. A tragic stop, raising up a silent fear. I strike the frame, looking at a heavy block, a physical reflection of a broken lock. You cannot start music when the gate is tied. I stare at the disaster where the hope has died. We acted like passing was a given right, a steady stream pushing through the lonely night. But blue corrosion paralyzes working wires, a tragic act halting at the bit of fires. The spark is stopped, drowning in a rigid chill, a ruined slot hiding what we truly feel. I try to pull, hoping for a working space, a bitter end hiding in a quiet place. Touch the poison knot, hear the static hit, fail to move the line, watch the logic quit. The damage is a poison to a moving text, a silent ghost cursing what is coming next. I realize that pushing on a broken frame is wasting all the logic of a waiting game. Love requires dropping with the smooth release to navigate the turning of a sudden peace. We let the rust break up an essential tie and ruined all the function of a shared sky. I lift my cold fingers and I step away, accepting the disaster of a broken play. Oxidized terminal, let it rest on a broken gear. Let it rise, tragic stop, raising up a silent fear. Walk away, frame, looking at a heavy block, a physical reflection of a broken lock. You cannot start music when the gate is tied. I leave the dark silence where the hope has died. The wire is dead, the frame is blocked. I am done.
A leather strip resting in a paper bed, a quiet mark keeping all the words we read. We cut it straight, holding to a rigid line, a stiff defense showing an untouched design. It pushed the book, leaving an uneven space, a stubborn shape sitting in a quiet place. But passing years softened up the heavy hide, a steady touch opening the dark inside. The surface bends, taking on a gentle curve, a safe embrace calming down an anxious nerve. The stiffness fades, melting in a human heat, I place it down, feeling how the leather yields. A quiet guard resting in the open fields. The friction stops, leaving a familiar trace. A woven piece, finding an expected grace. The leather folds, taking on a subtle bend. A steady guide, staying to the story end. Worn leather bookmark, resting on a written page. I close the book, knowing that the mark is right. A warm surface, waiting for a quiet night. We left the harsh stiffness in the early past. A custom bond built to make the comfort last. Worn leather bookmark, resting on a written page. I close the book, knowing that the mark is right. A warm surface, waiting for a quiet night. We left the harsh stiffness in the early past. A custom bond built to make the comfort last. To fight, finding where the pages part. A stubborn block, testing out a quiet heart. But steady hands polished up the rigid skin. A quiet shift, letting all the comfort in. The marker shines, holding to a sweet perfume. I turn the page, feeling how the pieces mesh. Bond resting on the living flesh. Feel the leather slide, smell the quiet trace. Step into the warm, rest the weary face. The harsh resistance melted into something mild. A peaceful state, letting us be reconciled. I realized that friction was a passing phase. A simple test hiding in the early days. Love requires softening the rigid hide to find the warmth resting on the dark inside. We let the years wear away the outer shell and found a place where the quiet angels dwell. I hold the mark, knowing it will never stick. A tailored bond, matching up without a trick. Worn leather bookmark, let it fall on a written page. Press it down, I close the book, knowing that the mark is right. A warm surface waiting for a quiet night. We left the harsh stiffness in the early past. A custom bond built to make the comfort last. The mark is set, the page is warm. We are safe.
A golden brass waiting on a wooden floor. We bought it new, carrying a rigid line. Playing hours rubbed away the heavy ridge. The surface yields, taking on a gentle gleam. The sharp attacks melted into something round. A silent calm resting on the solid ground. I push it down, feeling how the tension fades. A safe anchor hiding in the twilight shades. The notes extend, turning to a gentle glide. The metal adapts, finding a familiar grace. A steady press, taking up a quiet space. I hold you down, knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. You shaped yourself, fitting to the weight I hold. A warm embrace, better than the tales. to ache, pushing on a rigid wall. A stubborn line waiting for a heavy fall. But steady touch polished up the brassy shell. A quiet shift breaking up the isolation spell. The music flows, traveling a private line. I close my eyes, feeling how the edges bend. A trusted guard staying with me to the end. Press the solid brass, let the rhythm play. Hide from all the rush, keep the cold away. The outer metal softens into something mild. A peaceful state, letting us be reconciled. I realize that comfort isn't earned art. A slow design working on a guarded heart. Love requires polishing a rugged face to find the warmth hiding in the dark and cold. We let the shape alter to a perfect fit and found the peace hidden in the core of it. I need the touch flowing through the softened ring, a custom frequency making the silence sing. I hold you down, knowing that the edge is gone. A warm surface waiting for a quiet dawn. You shaped yourself fitting to the weight I hold. A warm embrace, better than the tales are told. The brass is smooth, the fear is gone. I am here.
A silver pipe hanging from a wooden ring. A bright design waiting for the wind to sing. We tie the string, giving it a steady space. It caught the breeze, offering a ring in the yard alone. But autumn damp settled on the shining brass. The tragic rust forming in the dying grass. The pipes attached, sticking in a rigid hold. A quiet death suffered in the winter cold. The ringing stops, leaving an unmoving shell. A broken chord falling from a silent bell. I watch the wind pushing on the heavy frame. A failed attempt playing in a losing game. The metal drops making a discordant thud. A ruined tool sinking in the heavy mud. The iron binds opening a sudden hole. A failing string losing all the self-control. Rusted wind chime hanging on the porch outside. I watch the pipe shivering in the tight embrace. You cannot play music when the bell is gone. I stare at the disaster of an empty dawn. Rusted wind chime hanging on the porch outside. I watch the pipe shivering in the tight embrace. You cannot play music when the bell is gone. I stare at the disaster of an empty dawn. We acted like ringing was an endless hold. A lasting tune keeping out the winter from a twisted lock. A broken tool offering a blank attack. I try to shake, hoping for a holding ring. A bitter end written on a lifeless string. Touch the broken pipe, hear the metal slide. Fail to find the grip, fail to find a guide. The tension left, leaving an empty space. A tragic void sitting in a quiet place. I realize that resting on a fragile thread is wasting all the logic of the words we said. Love requires holding to a moving tide to elevate the nature of a shared sky. We let the dam push past a limit line and ruined all the function of a shared design. I drop my cold fingers and I step away, accepting the disaster of a broken play. Rusted wind chime hanging on the porch outside. Let it fall. Broken song failing as a steady guide. Walk away. Watch the pipe shivering in the tight embrace. A physical fraction of my failing grace. You cannot play music when the bell is gone. I leave the slack hanging on an empty dawn. The pipe is snapped, the chime is dead, I am done. A twisted cord tied to a heavy tree. We pulled it tight, shutting out the heavy ground. A safe defense making not a single sound. It bore the weight, offering a steady shield. A safe cover resting on a quiet field. But changing moons roasted up the woven grain. A brutal sun following a bitter rain. The fiber bends, curling from a steady heat. The fabric falls, dropping to the inside floor. A broken seal waiting by an open door. The rope unweaves, failing as a steady cover. A silent break falling on a sleeping lover. Frayed hammock rope curling on a broken line. I feel the threads dropping from an open space. You cannot stay safe under a bending wood. I leave the yard, failing as I knew I should. Frayed hammock rope curling on a broken line. I feel the thread dropping from an open space. You cannot stay safe under a bending wood. I leave the yard, failing as I knew I should. We acted like resting was a given right, a lasting force keeping out the winter night. But heavy heat separates a bonded grain. A sudden bend bringing in a silent rain. The cord is frayed, letting all the tension fall. A useless block floating on a broken wall. I try to tie, asking for a holding seal. A miserable failure of the things I feel. Touch the curling twine, hear the fabric
brick fall. Fail to find the warmth, fail to find the wall. The weather is a poison to a failing room, a tragic end leading to a quiet doom. I realize that resting on a bending string is asking for a shelter from a closing ring. Love requires holding to an airtight seal to magnify the comfort of the things we feel. We left the cord roasting in a bitter draft and ruined all the shelter in a careless craft. I drop my cold fingers and I step away, accepting the disaster of a broken play. Frayed hammock rope curling on a broken lawn. Let it fray, failing now, ruining a calm design. I feel the threads dropping from an open space. You cannot stay safe under a bending wood. I leave the yard, failing as I knew I should.